Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Blog Report. Let's get right to it. Let's see what the top tags are on Technorati. Technorati Blogger Central, and the top tags for today are Barack Obama, politics, news, John McCain, Sarah Palin, video, media, business, music, and economy. The story I'm paying attention to today is one that came to my attention as I was sitting in the audience witnessing the jury selection for the trial of Larry Boito versus Chevron at the U.S. District Court, Northern California in San Francisco. I was there all day, and you're going to see my report on what's going on there in subsequent videos this week, so pay attention. But that aside, and back to the main point, I happened to look down at my iPhone, and the CNN breaking news email that came to me read Alaska Senator Ted Stevens guilty on 7 counts of felony false statements. Now, I'm going to be really direct with you. I'm not happy for Ted Stevens because I think that if a person is going to go down, that person should go down not for this, but because they didn't do a good job for their constituents, and there's no evidence that Ted Stevens did not do a good job for his constituents. Now, what did he do? He basically claims that he received gifts such as a $29,000 oven and other gifts that in some cases were worth 6 figures against his will. Now, yes, he could have taken them back, but I've worked for 4 politicians. It's a known fact that politicians are given gifts all the time. Do politicians give them back? Some, like my boss, my former boss, Mayor Elihu Harris, did. Others, like, well, in this case, Ted Stevens, did not. Was it appropriate to take those gifts? In my view, no, it was not. But he did take them. The question that I have is this: was it damaging to his performance as an elected official? And there's no evidence to show that Ted Stevens' behavior in this area did anything to diminish the service that he gave to his constituents as Alaska's senator. That doesn't mean that what he did wasn't wrong, but I'm saying that there's a tendency to lose focus and lose sight of what elected officials are placed in a position to do. Now, the counter is, well, you know what? He's also supposed to set a good example for his constituents, particularly those who are kids. And I do not disagree with that. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to provide a balance here. And the balance is this: you don't overjudge a person for an act like that. He's 84 years old. He's done a lot of good deeds for Alaska, including setting up the systems so that Alaska residents are paid the oil and gas revenues that they currently enjoy today. And he's got, very little life left, arguably. I mean, he's got less life than that sentence of 5 years for each count, that's 5 times 7 is 35, would imply. I encourage him to fight and to prove his innocence. But I also think that Ted Stevens should be given the consideration of goodwill. In this case, that did not happen. Take a look at the whole person. Now, you would say this is a Democrat, me saying this about a Republican, but I have said in previous videos, I have the utmost respect for any and all elected officials. It's a hard job. Again, what Ted Stevens did wasn't correct, but I do believe that his act of a false statement should not and does not outweigh the good deeds that he has done for his constituents in the state of Alaska. But the question is, why are we hammering at the Ted Stevens of the world? Why is this being sensationalized? It's because, frankly speaking, in my opinion, it's a byproduct of how our economy is turned. Many of us don't have a lot. And so when we see someone who has a position of power, like a Ted Stevens, get something like a $29,000 oven, we wonder how they got it, and if they didn't get it within the rules, we want them to be, if you will, legally taken care of. It points to something that I have said for a long time. America really is a socialist country. That's right. You heard what I said. Socialist. That is, we seek a consistent redistribution of wealth. We seek the construction of an egalitarian society. And we want a society where the government, to some degree, has either ownership or control or influence over the means of production and the distribution of wealth. Think about it. You are a socialist. You're a socialist because you contribute every single day to our system. And you would say, what are you talking about, Zenny? Well, let's take income taxes, which you pay every year. What's that you say? I'm too young to pay income taxes? Okay. That candy bar you bought, that's generally subject to a sales tax. But you would say, oh no, there's no sales taxes where I live? Okay. Well, let's say you happen to drive. What about that toll that you paid to go over the bridge? That toll money, yes, goes to the maintenance repair of the bridge that you're on, but it's also used for other highway projects, and it's used to create new bridges and new roads to cause cars and trucks to reach areas previously difficult to reach. That's socialism. That's using your dollars to expand the means of distribution so that more and more people can enjoy the wealth that we produce. Think about American cities and their design. American cities have something called a grid system. In city planning history, the American grid system was thought of as the example of cities of the future. Why? Because the grid system allows for easy expansion of roads, homes, and businesses. And it allows for expansion quickly and easily into areas that were not previously reached by those road systems. That is an example of the efficient reach of a socialist system, because the roads are paid for not by private sector but by government. Our U.S. highway system is a shining example of our socialist system. And yet within all of this, we claim that we have a capitalist system. Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't had a purely capitalist system since perhaps the 1700s. We have layer upon layer of government, where there isn't a town or municipality, there is a special district. Where there's not a special district, there's a county. And even when there's not a county, there's a state. And you can't say there's an state because we have 50 of them, actually technically 51, within the United States of America. You cannot escape government. You cannot escape making a payment to either the government or a form of government somewhere that then is responsible for redistributing your wealth for, quote, the greater good. It's inescapable. So I really want you all to put an end to this silly idea that we have this pure capitalist system and that, for example, John McCain isn't socialist. He is. And that Barack Obama is a socialist singularly. We are all socialists. You're a socialist. And there's nothing that you can do or say to prove otherwise. It's wholly impossible for you to do. For you to attempt to refute my argument would be to refute the very economic history of the United States of America. Good luck.